Okay, I think we're good to go. 5 minutes after 11, so hopefully someone else will join. So, buongiorno, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As you learned from the title, we're here to talk about machine learning, and we will probably go through some details that you will find interesting. So let me give a little bit of introduction of what Chaucer and Bip are. Bip Group is an Italian management consultancy, the first management consultancy group in Italian soul in the world. And recently, Chaucer joined Bip Group, and we consider as the UK branch of Bip Group. Bip as a group has 12 global hubs in different countries, but we are serving more than 20 countries because every hubs can serve more than one country. We have 3,500 people all around the world with more than 5,000 projects and 350 million as a group revenue estimated at the end of the year. What are the services of our company? Apart from the management consultancy, we have vertical center of excellence that are focused on strategy, innovation, design, interaction, cybersecurity, reviewing the customer platform and CRM, and following all the transformation 4.0. But we also have data cloud and artificial intelligence practice that is exactly what we brought on the table today to talk about the machine learning. So what we're talking today is, first of all, giving an introduction of what is machine learning for everyone, because I think that if you don't know what's machine learning, or if you don't know what it is, and you don't have it in your company, this is the right moment to start thinking about having it in place. And if you have, I think that you could find some good spark for you to think about how to improve what you already have and how to use what you already have. So in general, we would like to talk about how to get started with machine learning. So which are the prerequisites and which are the different steps that you have to follow to be sure that a machine learning project would be successful. And few example and the next step on as soon as you set up a machine learning project to make it more successful, and everything will be discussed with a little bit of example. Today here with me, we have other two experts that are part of the technology and artificial intelligence team. So myself, I'm a managing principal, mostly focused on digital transformation, enterprise and architecture, and IT strategy for companies all around the world. But we have Smitha Dunwell here with us that is focused on the journey analytics and the data science world. She is a subject matter expert in that subject. And Charles Wright, who is the head of our technology solution department, and is also leading the artificial intelligence and automation and cloud area. So before leaving the stage to Smitha, I would like to ask you if you want to make any question, please can you post it on the chat that we have here in Zoom, so I can take note of all of them and we can answer at the end of our session, because we will have like 10-15 minutes for Q&A. And as soon as we reach the Q&A, we'll probably be able also to give you the possibility to make a live questions, just raising your hands with the button you can find on Zoom. So thank you very much for that. And Smitha, stage is all yours.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all virtually. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk today. We work quite a lot with clients in data, cloud, and AI, and machine learning is one of the areas that is of huge interest for us, but also we have done quite a lot of projects with varying clients in different stages of their machine learning journey. So we're very excited to be here today to talk to you about how to identify the right opportunities and how to get started. So we thought we will come here with a very simple way to sort of bring the knowledge about this machine learning and how you can use it in your business. So Netflix suggests you what you should watch next. Amazon tells you what you should buy next. And when you are on social media, your content that you see is customized. When you're browsing online, you see certain ads that are very tailored to what the brand thinks that you could buy. All of these are examples of machine learning. All of these are based on data, system thinking, and behind the picture to see what they can sell more and what is more relevant to a particular customer. So that is how you see machine learning. And if we were to define what is machine learning, we can say machine learning is science of getting computers to learn and act like humans do. And over time, their learning will improve by taking in new data and real-world interactions. It's very similar, I mean, the way I sort of draw parallels is to a human brain. Human brain is very complex and very smart. When you see red light, it is slow down. When you see fast car, it is dangerous. Red light and fast car, fatal combination. So our mind, it takes in inputs and it links different inputs, and based on real world, it sort of makes decisions. And that's the same concept that we're applying here in terms of machines and technology. We are feeding data to a machine. And by data, it is anything, numbers, photos, text, like bank transactions, pictures of people, bakery goods that you buy, machinery defect information, time series data from sensors, sales receipts, past purchases, anything that an organization has in terms of data that is relevant to that a particular business area or a problem, there are opportunities for machine learning. Gartner suggests that this is a huge market and it is expected to grow from 15 billion to over 152 billion. Right, with the explosion of digital channels, a lot of data that is being collected, and also advances in technology, especially use of cloud, has made it so easy to really process all of this data and make sense of it. And that's why we know that there are huge opportunities for every organization to get into machine learning. So if I think no one can afford not to know about machine learning in this agent space, because there are many ways that machine learning can bring value to an organization. And specifically, if you were if you were to ask, where can I use machine learning? The opportunities are endless. There is no specific department or problem area that machine learning can help. It is broad. You can apply within HR, finance, operation, sales, marketing, supply chain, anything to do with making better customer predictions, selling more, improving customer experience. For example, if we look at a online retail company trying to increase sales, there is data that you can capture about their customers, what they bought, what their preferences are, what they would be interested in. Using machine learning, you can identify more opportunities to sell, or new ways, a certain service can be productized. If the problem is related to keeping customers, increasing loyal customers, the machine learning could help identify why customers are leaving, what are the reasons that they're going to another brand. And then that will help, again, businesses put some processes in place or improve their activities to retain customers. Retain customers is, a direct increase in growth. Or, if customers are going to a competition, understand why they're not happy with products or services and what contributes to that particular dissatisfaction. And by using data, understanding these reasons, mitigative actions could be put in place, and thereby increasing customer satisfaction. And not just that, from a customer point of view, there's a lot that could be gained from machine learning in terms of reducing costs. And that could be, let's say, if a machinery company is spending a lot on their machines, and if a machine goes out of service, that impacts the supply chain, that impacts quite a lot, and repairs are quite expensive as well. Through use of machine learning, pre-planning can be made and understand what timelines a machine should be scheduled for maintenance to prevent this from happening. So you can handle things in advance to sort of cost save, and also have better plans in place should something go wrong. You can catch that in before it actually happens. Also, with COVID especially, everyone's shopping online. There's so much demand for digital channels as well as online services, which means there's a huge potential and opportunities for fraud. So again, looking at data, past behavior, and transactions that are not legitimate, a lot of financial operations, could use machine learning to prevent fraud. Again, from a risk and compliance point of view, especially in organizations that have really stringent measures in terms of meeting certain regulatory requirements, machine learning could be used to identify potential risks. So it will help organizations take necessary actions to prevent something from happening, which would mean it would be a cost saving, or it could actually help support better planning. But also, we look into call centers, volumes, or customer service teams. There's also quite a lot of demand on their time and to support the organization, especially if everyone's buying online. So there are better ways to use machine learning within the context of customer service or contact centers to drive the volume of traffic to right places based on type of problem. Or it could be used to sort of understand supply and demand. How can I manage my workforce in a better way? And then there are huge opportunities, again, online or offline, in terms of cross-selling or upselling. If you already have a relationship with a particular customer or a demographic group of customers, and they are regular purchasers, maybe based on the knowledge about them, you could actually tailor certain offers to see, right, I can sell more, and or I can sort of add another add-on. So it is a good way of increasing revenues. But machine learning in this context can help identify who those customers are, what potential products they would be interested in. So you could really target specific group with specific offers, so you're not spending more, but actually getting a lot more in return. Not just that about transactions, but also, we're talking here digital, customer service touch points. There is also a lot that could be done in terms of improving user experience. Again, based on data, organizations can improve what areas online, people may click and buy. How can I actually improve that experience when someone's buying something and putting things in the basket to purchasing using card and paying? If things are, these are most often underestimated, but if that process, purchase process is simplified, user experience is seamless, they're more likely to buy, because we also notice that, if things are complex in terms of the online payment processes, people just abandon filling forms or giving information. So from service optimization to workforce planning to predictive maintenance to improving customer satisfaction to identifying new areas, every department in an organization can utilize machine learning, as long as there is data that is available, and that data is in the context of business problem. So I think it's a good way to also start thinking from your business point of view, from business lines or areas you focus on based on what your problem is, how machine learning can apply to your business. And to just simplify it, we suggest try to look everything in 3 buckets or 3 pillars, because in the end, any investment in a machine learning should also deliver that value to an organization. But how do you define value? Value could be anything bringing more revenue. That could be adding to existing growth or identifying new offerings, new channels where you could start to monetize. Maybe your business is stable, it's working really well, but you have ambitions to move into new business lines. You want to find new targets or new customer groups, or you want to find new channels where you could start to move your business. So those are all of the opportunities that you could sort of find out through machine learning, using existing data about your customers, products, services, financial transactions, and see what possibilities exist. So you could also start to tap into, right, I have exhausted my customer base for this product line. How can I expand to an adjacent customer segment? So those sort of things could be supported by machine learning with data. And second key area is customer experience. And this is a lot of organizations have some way of measuring customer experience through NPS scores. They understand promoters and detractors. They have customer satisfaction scores, various measures, also try to benchmark their current brand performance with competitive brand performance. So again, machine learning opportunities are abundant here. And as I said at the start, data doesn't mean only numbers. It could be text, it could be pictures. So, every organization has Google reviews, Trustpilot reviews. They may have surveys where there is a lot of feedback about, what worked well, what experience you did not like. So that is a wealth of information about their customers. Again, using NLP, natural language programming. There are ways you could sort of mine all of this text to find out what customers are saying, what are the things that they don't like. Is this information consistent? Is it because of this particular experience they actually going to another competitor? And with that insight, you could put in some mitigation strategies in place to see, okay, this seems like a huge problem for our customer base, and we're going to fix it. So that sort of improves the relationship with the customers, and also sort of, you can see a difference in the score. Or if you think, right, that messaging is not actually right, and so maybe we need to message differently to my customers so I can improve my brand perception. And then third area, we call it operational efficiencies, and this is huge. It is not just machine learning, but there are ways that a lot of manual tasks could be automated. Again, this could be workflow automation or process automation, but also supply chain efficiency, human resources, people management, how we can, especially I talked about the example of contact center, demand versus supply. How can I plan for my workforce? Or it could be supply chain efficiency. And as I actually say, supply chain efficiency, last mile is a key thing. We all are buying things online. So as an example, last week I had a grocery delivery at 2:00, and the guy called me at 1:00 to say, is it okay if I come in early? I'm in the local neighborhood. I said, no problem. Yeah, you can. And when dropping off my groceries, he mentioned that if I'd actually known that, I had to deliver here at 2, I would have actually delivered at 10 because I was at your neighbor's. So I think what this means for, supply chain or online delivery is that they have information about customers, they have information about their delivery and the schedules, but if they mix it up with location or, the date, time, location with the information that they have about the delivery, they can better plan the routes. They can better plan for their workforce. They can better plan for which areas have a lot more demand on certain days where I need to put more people. So this helps enormously if it is a huge operation to sort of optimize and actually focus on their money on the right efforts. So again, if you're starting this journey and trying to think, where should I focus on if I want to start? Maybe start using these 3 as the key pillars and try to map out your opportunity areas for the business or key problem areas in these space. And then start to explore, right, why is the problem? What data do I have? And what does it mean if this problem is fixed? So that could be a brilliant way to sort of get started in terms of the thinking. Now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Charles, who's going to walk you through what you need to do to get started.
Thank you, Smita. So there's some key things I want to raise before we jump in. The first is that we're covering up to the point today where you start doing the machine learning. So how do you get to the point where you know what machine learning to do and how to do it? We're not covering the actual implementation of machine learning itself as much. The second thing is strategy is often seen as a cost, right? And businesses don't like to have costs where they don't see immediate value. So key to this type of approach is speed and efficiency, but also at the same time being exhaustive in the type of information you collect. So there are 2 key concepts I'm going to pull back on as we go through. So Smita, if you might move to the next slide. So key things before you even think about starting. Domain expertise or understanding your organization. So every organization is unique. It has probably procurement departments, finance functions, contact centers and so on. They're all common, but the way they operate is often unique. They'll have unique technology stacks, unique processes, unique operating models that mean that your approach has to be customized. And in order to begin machine learning and identifying opportunities for machine learning, you need to be able to have the domain expertise to understand where they apply within that organization. So we have a dual focused approach. The first is that you have that internal expertise, but you also have market expertise. Because if you can match what's seen on the market to the internals of the organization and then customize it for the individual processes, it gives you a much more holistic view of what's possible with machine learning. The second is technologies. So you'll hear this over and over again if you read any articles about machine learning, but you have to have a lot of data available. It's got to be decent quality data, and it's got to be readily accessible. So not just in volume, but in terms of being able to access it and operate on it and process it. Now, what does that realistically mean? It tends to mean you have to have things like a data lake or a data warehouse in place. If you're still running on legacy solutions that are perhaps on-premise relational databases and things like that, you might struggle to do machine learning because you might not have the volume or the quality of data or the accessibility of data. So typically, a journey into machine learning is either preceded or accompanied by a journey into cloud as well. Deciding what you use up ahead means you can determine an appropriate operating model as well. So if I decide I want to use the Azure cloud, for example, I know that I've got to hire people with expertise in Azure up front, and I can make sure that's consistent across my organization to lower my costs and lower my technology debt. And then finally, picking the right team. So there's 2 aspects here. The first is the team I use for discovery, and the second is the team I use for implementation, and they're different teams. So what is discovery of machine learning opportunities? It means I've got to go out to the business and I've got to conduct a lot of interviews, a lot of workshops to gather information. Therefore, I need a team that's very good with people, but also understands machine learning on the market and machine learning where it can apply internally, and all sorts of other technologies at the same time. Because while you're talking to people about machine learning, you're probably likely going to find out about problems for process automation, for more general analytics and business intelligence at the same time. So if you can multi-purpose that and make use of that information at the same time, it's often very beneficial as well. Now, when we actually come to implementation, you need a bunch of nerds like me that can then go and actually do some coding and build cloud environments and things and implement the solution. They're 2 very different skill sets. One is people focused, the other is tech focused. So making sure you have the right team in place is essential for doing this properly, because if you want to be exhaustive in the opportunities you identify for machine learning, you need someone that can explore the areas of the business and the niches of the business in depth. So they've got to be able to talk to business leaders to identify problems, and then your everyday kind of worker to identify the details of the process that needs to be automated or replaced by machine learning or augmented. Next slide, please, Smitha. How do you actually go about this? So we have a 6-step approach, with the first core step being vision. And what do you want to do with machine learning? How do you want it to impact your customers? How do you want them to perceive you? Do you want to increase trust? Do you want to increase revenue? You've got high costs within the organization. You want to be able to reduce via efficiencies, things like Smitha said. You've got to identify all that kind of goal up front and how that aligns to KPIs. So when we start talking about key focus areas, you might have areas in your organization you consider as particular problems when it comes to cost, or particular centers that generate a lot of revenue you want to augment, or don't that you want to augment. And whatever KPIs those business units are measured on, if you can align the machine learning to augment those KPIs, you've got much better likelihood of success, and it's much easier also to gain buy-in at the same time from the executive board and other sponsors throughout the organization. When it comes to identifying the problems, again, it's about taking that holistic look across the business. So typically what we do is we start off by speaking to a leadership team, and we say, what do you want to do with machine learning? We set the vision in the first place. And then once they understand what machine learning is and what they want to do with machine learning, we then take that down a stage to people in the kind of middle management area. They have a good view of how their teams operate day to day and what their pain points are and why they're struggling to achieve their KPIs, or why they're struggling for other things, and what else they could do to enhance. So from that middle management layer, we gain a good overview of the overall organization. We take it down another layer, and they say, let's say a middle manager says, my team spends a lot of time in Excel. I have to do a lot of modeling of this financial data in Excel, and it probably takes them, like, a team of 3, 5 hours every month. So it's 15 hours every month. That's quite a small use case. But of course, as your organization gets larger, the pain felt by that manual Excel-driven process grows and grows. That's when machine learning or another method of analytics or data science can come in to replace that method, which means it can be done almost instantly via code without the cost of that FTE team there. So it means you can repurpose them from all sorts of other tasks that are more valuable to you. But the details of that process and how it works are held within those workers' heads that do it every day, or whatever it is, every week, every month. So you've got to pull that out as well. Now, once you understand the problems across an organization, you can begin to prioritize those problems. And what we're talking about there is looking at what your goals are for machine learning, what you want to achieve with machine learning, but also what the complexities are for machine learning as well. We'll touch on that more in depth in the next slide, so I won't cover it too heavily here. So prioritize your machine learning use cases. Now, the key here is you want to pick only a couple to move forward with. So depending on the scale of the opportunity, it might take you 3 months, all the way up to maybe even 12 months to deploy a piece of machine learning, to get it integrated into a cloud solution, into the business, and then adopted by your resources, your staff. So it takes a long time to do that potentially. And there can be a decent cost associated with it as well. So you want to make sure you pick core opportunities that offer you the opportunity to generate value very quickly, so they won't take too long to implement, and they're quite simple to implement as well. But you also want to align that to areas where you can get your biggest value out of it, so that you can drive more in the future. Because if you spend a lot of money and you don't get very far, then you're very less likely to get more money in the future to do the same thing. So you want quick wins, ideally, for those first set of opportunities, or very high value things that senior leadership values. So understand what they are, and then put them into a business case. And that business case doesn't have to be super in depth at this point, because all you're trying to do is achieve buy-in from the leadership team. And the leadership team probably don't care about the particular stack of technology, the high-level design, the low-level design, what type of programming languages you're going to use, what data pipelines and things. All they want to know is, can you build a working solution? And overall, what's that going to look like? How long is it going to take? Who does it require? What does it cost? Right? Your goal is to win buy-in for those initial small quick wins you can implement. So finally, the thing you need around that, especially if this is your first time going into machine learning, is a roadmap. That roadmap isn't just for the technology, again, because the technology is only one component. Along with that has to come operating model and governance as well. So what kind of people do you need, and when do you need to hire them by? Do you have to supply them through a temporary resource like a consultancy or contractors or offshoring, or do you hire them permanently and you can see value for them working full-time, not just on one solution, but across multiple solutions or products in the organization? From there, that's potentially when you can actually go ahead and begin machine learning, after you've got that kind of exhaustive process out the way, in which you identify all the current, the potential pitfalls up ahead. Next slide, please, Smitha. So, as I said, go into more depth on how we actually identify those opportunities and how we prioritize them. So the key things to understand, as you said, all the people, but also the technology, number two. So you've got a bunch of applications in your organization that people use, and they probably house a ton of data. And you've got to understand how machine learning tasks can apply to that data to derive value from it. Similarly, within those applications and within separate data stores, you're likely to have a lot of data. The value of that data is probably not realized unless you've looked at it in this way before. So you can have databases full of gigabytes or terabytes of data that's not being used for anything except for a bit of Power BI reporting, or it's just put up in an Excel spreadsheet and sent to the board for reporting, right? There's no actual real value being driven from that data. So understanding those data sources, understanding those applications will identify a ton of opportunities for machine learning. So once you've actually got those opportunities, as we said, you can prioritize them. And Smith, if you don't mind jumping on to the next slide, I'll dive into how we do that personally. So, as I said, you've got the benefits of the machine learning. You've also got the complexity of the machine learning. So for every single opportunity you identify, you want to score it, okay? And you want this to be quantitative because you want to be able to make justified decisions. And you want to have everything on a level playing field when you evaluate it and identify those quick wins. So for our clients, we normally use a customized scoring matrix, which is built of about 30 different points. And some of those things will be like, does this solution increase your revenue? Does it generate new customers? Does it reduce cost? But also more so things you might not think about in that same realm. Does it improve diversity? So if you're looking at HR and machine learning, you might look at, have I got bias in my recruitment process? And you can identify that with machine learning or prevent it with machine learning. So there's diversity in there. There's also multiple other smaller things like trying to think of an example, automating of small processes. Right? If they involve logical but quantitative-based decisions, machine learning can potentially replace those. There's a wide range of others we include as well. Now, on the other hand, there's complexities, and those complexities are the real killers of machine learning projects. So does it involve you hiring people with new skills? Is the data of a high enough quality to perform machine learning? Is it of a high enough volume? Are your applications you have in the organization capable of feeding machine learning data? You know, if you want to stream data into a machine learning algorithm, can you actually do that with your current systems, or can you just extract batches of data? And there's a wide variety of the others around that sit in the operating model, the governance area, the compliance area that you actually have to consider as well. So what we do is we take all those scores. Before we add them up, we weight them, because that example for diversity might not matter to some organizations. Now, of course, for large organizations, it's much more frequently on their agenda now, including that diversity in what they do, embedding it. So it might be higher priority. But for most organizations, their focus is probably in increasing revenue, driving efficiencies. So you weight those based on how important the organization thinks they are. And then you come to that kind of composite score we're talking about here. And this is the type of layout, of course, classic 2x2 grid. You can see where those opportunities lie. Now, for me, what I want to look for is the top left quadrant, which is high business value, low implementation effort. Anything in there can be your quick wins and the ones you take forward to implement. Second to that, you probably want to look at high business value, but higher implementation effort. And then look at how fast you can deploy those opportunities. And is it the speed that is going to cause the complexity or not? So build those into a business case and move forward. I think next slide, please, Smitha. So I think I'm handing back over to Smitha now to talk through some particular examples of machine learning.
Thanks, Charles. Just to connect and present you a real life example, of use of machine learning. We worked with a client in retail sector who wanted to sort of predict their customer lifetime value. That means how much a customer is likely to spend on their products. And they want to also use that knowledge to optimize their marketing spend. So there's a lot of money that in strategic planning cycles, every business allocates for marketing or acquiring new customers or retaining their customers. So they want to make sure, and also the channels add a lot of complexity. So they wanted to understand how best they can optimize that allocation for various channels. So machine learning comes into rescue here because the retail organization has a lot of customer data about what products, what brands, what channels a customer purchases, and how much they spend, and how often they spend. So by connecting all of this data from different CRM online analytical systems, then machine learning can start to identify really some patterns. Somebody, 30 a female living in a certain part of London is more likely to buy every month a certain brand dress, and they're more likely to spend the same. So with that knowledge, online offers or channels could be used to sort of market just that particular brand, or some sort of a campaign could be run to sort of promote that particular offering. And so that gives a lot of opportunity for the organizations to predict the future purchases. So with that information, they can also not just run offers, they can also identify what kind of customers are not likely to buy. So maybe they would suppress certain offers to those customers, or maybe they start to remove free shipping of offers. So in that way, they're also cost optimizing. But they also understand what type of products are not beneficial or of low interest, and so they also start to take action. So their fulfillment and supply chain centers actually not bearing the cost of storing products that are not useful, and they either use certain options or sales to just get rid of that. The impact through that is, not just measuring customer life value, but identify most profitable customers. In this particular example, we identified a group of customers that are 10 times more likely to buy than the segment that our clients were targeting. So by identifying that customer group, all efforts were actually put on, creating offers and a great experience for that high value customers to retain and start to increase the growth. And so this is just one example, and a retail. I gave it this because most organizations have customer data, and customer data is most often the most easiest place to start to think about machine learning, because there is so much information that already exists, and you can start to capitalize on that. If you do have any gaps in terms of data or knowledge about the customers to do a machine learning project, you can also quickly fill that gaps by creating a data improvement campaign and fill the gaps. So yeah, this is one of the areas where we think you could quickly jump into and deliver some real benefits soon. Another example is fraud detection. The concept of using machine learning in fraud detection is that fraud detection have certain patterns which don't align with normal legitimate transactions. Typically, if there is let's say, a premium online subscription service, and there are fraudulent users connecting, it brings losses to the organization in terms of unauthorized access and use of the services. And traditional detection methods, start to identify, certain patterns and that don't look legitimate, and you can sort of probably save X% of the revenue based on identifying those fraudulent transactions. But with machine learning, because there is a lot of computing power, also ability to sort of identify a number of themes and trends based on a lot of volumes of data, because these all could be processed so quickly by machine, there is efficiency in terms of understanding a number of patterns that you may not know, you may not have seen before. And so there is a high likelihood to really identify more patterns that could sort of be detected as fraud, but also to take some preventive measures to see, right, these are all the loopholes in our current processes and these need to be fixed. And so it gives that additional insight. And so for one of the examples that we've worked in the past in this space for fraud detection for financial transactions, typically a client were able to detect around 17% of fraud actions, and by using machine learning, they were able to sort of uncover things that they were missing. More than 68% were detected, and that has increased in 4% revenue. This could be very different for different organizations based on the business and based on the type of products and how customers act. But one of the growing areas with machine learning in financial services is around fraud and identifying, illegitimate transactions. So that's one application. And just to close off, you're thinking, you're here today because you're thinking about this machine learning, also understand or sort of get inspired by some of the ways we've approached this. But to set yourself for success, we just want to reiterate, focus on building the right team. So machine learning sounds very technical and complex for somebody who's not used to implementing them in the organization, but having a right team is crucial. And here it is a cross-functional team with input from business who really understand the business, organization, customers, with strong technology input who understands current systems, and if there is a need to change the systems or invest in a new cloud solution, so you have the power of and also computational power, and also people who understand data and how they could build algorithms that are suited for your business, but then also people who can really take the output of those machine learning outputs and then apply back into the business. And all of them need to work together and hand in hand. So, some organizations may already have the team. Some organizations may be on their journey thinking about putting these teams in place. So once you decide that you want to go this path, identify where your gaps are, and either by working with third parties, consulting companies, or by bringing in temporary skilled expertise, or hiring for that expertise and building the team, you are ensuring success. And getting buy-in from leadership at the start is crucial. And if they don't understand how that could be applied to the business, it's not going to succeed. So having that vision, having that approval from the leadership team is crucial. Having that sponsor who is supporting you on this journey is crucial. And then secondly, spend time in discovery phase. And I say discovery phase is where you're actually thinking collectively as a multifunctional team about the right challenges. So what is the most pressing problem that you think machine learning can help? And what do you need to set yourself for success? Do you have the team, technology, skills? So, but not just that. I think, you know, let's say if I give an example about, you know, you're working on a churn model, as in, you know, you want to identify why customers are leaving the company, and you want to put processes in place to mitigate that. But what would you do when you know that this is the reason why customers are leaving? You need to apply that reason and improve the processes back in the business. So it is also very crucial to also understand how, with the knowledge of machine learning outputs, you can improve business, and who will champion those. So spending that time early on is quite important. Otherwise, you'll end up doing a great machine learning project, but it is not brought back into the business, and the business sees the benefit. And finally, data. That is what is needed for a successful machine learning project. The more data you have, historical data, more accurate the predictions, because the system can understand a number of trends and link relationships and outcomes. But it is also important to have good quality in place. You know, your output is only as good as the input. So if the data is gappy, if the data quality is not great, the outputs are not something that you can rely on, and there is a huge risk. Volume is important, but quality is more essential. So start to also think about, are you collecting the right information? Do you have that information? Is it of good quality? Do I have enough information? And if you don't, then that's probably something to think about. But we cannot state the importance of having right data in this process. So yeah, have a think about these three areas. Set yourself up for success, and you know, we hope you all have a very successful machine learning project soon. And now I move on to question and answers. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Smita and Charles, for that. And yeah, actually, we didn't receive any questions during the presentation, so I think everyone was waiting the end of the presentation to raise their hands. So I think that we still have 10 minutes. So if anyone has any curiosity or any questions or anything on machine learning, feel free to raise your hand, and I think we can open up your microphones to talk. Okay, Elena is asking, yeah, how much does GDPR limits this process?
I can take that. Yes, I think GDPR is very important, but as long as there are ways, you don't need to sometimes work at a customer level. So you can group information at a segment level. So we're not particularly exposing what customer that we are talking about. So there are ways to sort of create new features from existing customer data for a machine learning model without compromising on any compliance or GDPR requirements. And that is a process potentially you would sort of figure out or understand when you do the discovery, looking into what data you have and what data could be used for this particular problem.
Okay.
No problem, thank you.
Okay, but in the meanwhile, that if anyone has other questions, just to obviously this was a webinar to give you a rough overview of what's machine learning and how you can tackle it. If you have any other questions that are not coming out today, no worries. You can send your question to the Chamber of Commerce. We are members, so we can reply offline to your questions if you have any. So just to tell you that the there's not a time limit now. We are live, so we can easily pick up any questions, but we're here and we are really open to reply to any of your queries, should you have any. And Jasmine, who I have to thank you very much to organizing everything, will be probably the reference point for everyone who has any question around this webinar as well. And well, we introduced ourselves here. Yeah, Jasmine is suggesting to use directly the email, like the info@italianchamminate.org.uk. So the Chamber of Commerce email address.
Yeah, as Emmanuel said, if there is anything you'd like us to help you with in terms of how do we get started, or how do we need to think about technology, or I have this problem, is it actually right for a machine learning? We're happy to take those questions and then help you get answers.